What's going on, YouTube? So German automakers have long been a standard for performance cars around the globe, and we just spent the last week with one of Audi's hottest cars. That's right, we've been living with the small but very mighty Audi RS3, which packs a serious punch and an amazing sound. So, did it live up to the hype? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So under the hood is a fitting place to begin this review because this heart is really the beginning of what's special about this RS3. It's a 2.5 liter turbocharged 5-cylinder. It makes 394 horsepower. Now it's going to be paired with standard quattro all-wheel drive, a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, and the combined fuel economy is 23 mpg.
Now the base price of this RS3 is $66,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we had the privilege of living with it, and we'll be taking it out for a spin later on, but we also have some special things to talk about, such as our impressions. So let's go ahead and shut up the hood and take a look at the exterior.
Now hopping into the exterior design. As you can probably tell, this is a very aggressive look, and indeed it does get a lot of attention. Some of that's due to the color, but a lot of it's due to just how aggressive it looks up here in the front. Now this was just recently refreshed, and it actually was made even more aggressive than it was before. So most of the front here is going to be dominated by this super large grille. Obviously, you have lots of airflow into that engine. The black kind of juts all the way out to here. And furthermore, we also have the optional carbon fiber accenting around there, which looks very, very nice. Now, as far as the headlights are concerned, these are also updated to the latest and greatest Audi. So that means you can customize things like the daytime running light to have a cool pattern. We've got the checkered flag look right now, and you also can have the dynamic turn signal indicator. Of course, the headlights themselves are standard projector LEDs. But the fun certainly doesn't stop up in the front because the back is super aggressive as well.
That's right, and as far as individual design touches, we have the carbon fiber spoiler up here on the lip. I think it looks really fantastic against this green color. And let's talk about the taillights, because these are pretty signature Audi taillights. They are very premium, of course. So you have a full LED unit, so your brake light, your turn signal, and your reverse light are all LED. I like the fact that the turn signal is actually an amber color, and it's also dynamic. Dropping down to the lower diffuser, this is absolutely gorgeous. It's finished in carbon fiber, and it's super aggressive. Also, you'll notice that we have the signature RS oval exhaust outlets. And not only that, we have the sport exhaust system, so that's going to give us an even better sound. Let's take a listen.
Moving on to the wheels, we've got 19-inch alloys on board. We've got the dark gray finish to match with the carbon fiber. Of course, it's a beautiful multi-spoke design, and more important than the actual wheel itself is what's wrapped around it. We have the ultra high performance tires on board since we have the Dynamic Plus package. That also is a very pricey package, but it includes carbon ceramic brakes. So you have these huge brake calipers here finished in the beautiful Audi red. Now you have a functional vent right there along the side. We've got the carbon fiber finish up here on the mirrors as well. And since ultimately this is a luxury car, you have all the features on board, including auto dimming on both the driver and passenger side.
Now at the side, of course, this is based on the A3, so overall vehicle length is 178.5 inches. And as far as individual design touches, we have the blacked out window surrounds. We also have the fully blacked out roof. That's a pretty cheap option, so I think I'd go with that, and that just kind of fully blacks out the roof itself, which looks great against this paint color. Now, Drew was kind of mentioning this earlier, but this is a very bold option. It's Kylami green, and certainly there are almost no other colors on the market that get as much attention as this color, and I think it looks fantastic. Now, it's basically also a version of the Verde Mantis color that they use on Lamborghini products. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, we do have all of those active safety features as standard equipment, so that will include things like adaptive cruise control as well. But guys, we have a matching green interior as well. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now let's check out the interior. First, here's our Audi key fob. You can see that we have special RS branding. Of course, you have a standard smart entry system on board, meaning you can just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward. Now, let's check out the interior. As you can see, as soon as you look inside, we have a lot of really nice and special touches with this model, and that begins with the seats. So obviously, we've got a sport seat on board. So this is a beautiful full Napa leather seat. We have a quilted design that runs through the center section, RS branding through there, and we also have the optional matching stitch details. So you'll see that right through here. It really looks fantastic, and again, just kind of goes with that overall green theme on the outside. The seats hold you in place very well, and you have adjustments such as a thigh extension and memory seats as well. Let's go ahead and climb inside. And looking around at the rest of the interior, we'll go over here to the door trim. You have a nice leatherette with a stitching detail. You have a suede insert through the center section, and it's actually illuminated with ambient lighting behind there. Up top, we have a soft touch plastic. As we move to the upper dash, all soft touch plastic through here. You can see in the vent detailing, we again have that matching green. And I also didn't mention earlier, but these seat belts have some green accenting as well. You can see like sometimes the full seat belt can be a bit too much color for people, so what they did was just trace the seat belt just to give you a touch. Very tastefully done. And then down here, finally at the lower panel, it is a piano black around the shifter and hard touch plastic through here. Now we'll fire it up with the push button start. And let's now dive into some individual features on the inside. So first up, we've got our gauge cluster. This is Audi's virtual cockpit. It's 12.3 inches. And of course, you can change your different gauge designs, including a nice high performance gauge cluster with your tachometer front and center. Now, one nice change for 2026 is the fact that the head-up display you see here, that is now standard on all RS3s. And it does include things such as the red light countdown, which is a very clever thing for the Audi brand. Now, pulling back to the steering wheel, with the recent refresh, it got this new design, which is squared off on the top and the bottom. We've got the full Dynamica covering. You can also get a leatherette if you prefer that. And as far as the buttons are concerned, we have two prominent buttons. This brings you to your custom RS drive modes. And then this one right here, this is the kind of go fast mode, you could say. It takes you to the maximum for all the different drive modes just with one push. Very, very convenient. I certainly like that. And then, of course, the wheel itself. Manual tilt and telescoping, steering wheel heating is not offered. All right, let's look at interior storage. Not the reason you buy this, but it is still a relatively practical sedan at the end of the day. The center console here can fit 2 donuts, which will be enough for a little bit of storage. This also can slide forward, by the way, for more adjustability. You have 2 cup holders, and then up in the very front, we have a standard wireless phone charging pad. We've got the latest Audi shifter, also updated recently. Pull back for drive, bump back again to activate your sport shift. And then if we go up here to our paddle shifters, you can see we have a nice paddle shifter. It is not metal, but it does have that kind of sporty design. Going into reverse, here is our standard 360-degree camera system. You have active trajectory on board as well as the nice overhead view. It does not support the 3D spin though, and you have an automatic parking system. Press the P for park, and you have the electronic parking brake located back here, along with your 12-volt outlet. And then moving up to this area next to the shifter, we come to this circle. Now, you might have seen this on some of the other Audi products. Basically, it's a touch-sensitive pad that serves multiple purposes with your audio system, and you can actually circle around the outside edge there to turn up the volume. Speaking of, this does come with the premium Sonos sound system, and let's hear a sample of that right now. Overall, sound quality is perfectly fine, but I have to admit, Mason and I have not spent much time listening to this week. You really just want to hear that beautiful 5-cylinder and all of its almost R8 glory. So the audio system really pales in comparison, that's for sure. All right, now let's zero in here with our climate controls. Of course, it's a dual zone automatic setup. You've got the full physical controls, unlike some of the recent Audi products. You'll also notice that the seats are heated, but they are not ventilated. In the center section here, we have a 10.1-inch display. This is not the newest Audi software, but it does have all the expected features, including wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Of course, if you go into here, you can see your full selection of apps. You have a lot of different choices and places where you can customize the vehicle. Up top here, we've got an auto-dimming mirror with your compass and your HomeLink universal remotes. Then I can slide back the sunshade here. We do have a wide opening sunroof. And, of course, as you can see, it does actually open up.
But one of the beauties about the RS3 is the fact that you still have full rear seat areas, even though this is a very performance-oriented model. So let's talk about this. As far as overall legroom figures, 35.2 inches of legroom is what you're sitting at, 36.6 inches of headroom, which is honestly pretty darn practical. A lot of the competition you could be looking at cross-shopping wouldn't be nearly as practical as this RS3. I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and I brought along the official Car Confections ruler so I could get a realistic knee room, and we're sitting at 7 inches of knee room. That's certainly enough space for most, and my feet can slide up underneath of the seats. And speaking of the seats back here, they are that same beautiful quilted design with the green stitching. It looks fantastic. In addition to that, we do have a full down center armrest with the 2 cup holders inside. And as far as features, while we don't have a lot, we do still have rear vents. We also have the ability to kind of adjust our temperature back here, although it's not like a actual digital readout. It's kind of weird that it's like that. We have 2 USB-C ports down below there. No heated rear seats are offered, and of course you do have the large center tunnel right there. On the door trim, it is going to be hard touch on the upper part, so that's something, especially at this price point, it probably shouldn't be hard touch, but we have ambient lighting. We also have suede in the middle section, as well as on the armrest portion, and a ton of door storage. Now, walking up to the cargo area, there's a button underneath the lid. It's also hands-free, so you can just kick under the tailgate, and that will release your nicely dampened trunk. And overall cargo capacity is sitting at 8.3 cubic feet of space. That's, not a ton of room for a sedan. That's going to be on the smaller side, as you probably expect. It's going to be less than that of some of the rivals that you could be looking at, maybe hatchback style like the Integra Type S. And speaking of competitive vehicles, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at a lot of vehicle segments and ranked them in individual categories that matter most to that type of buyer. Things like cargo space, interior luxury, technology, powertrain choices, and value. So if you want to make an informed buying decision regardless of vehicle segment, go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings because we have a lot of useful tools there. Now let me go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. The seats do fold 40-20-40 split, and as far as cargo length, 37 inches is what you're sitting at. The opening is 36 inches wide, and the height is really going to be the worst part about this car because it's only about 17 inches in terms of the height, and the load-in height is not bad because it's, of course, a sedan, 27 inches. Underneath of the floor, you will find a little bit of extra space, but there is not a spare tire. Well, guys, we are incredibly excited to be driving this Audi RS3. We'll be covering quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first, we've got to start with a hard acceleration because you won't want to miss that. Yeah.
real quick to get over 60 miles per hour. Wow, yeah, so this thing absolutely flies. You know, it might be small on the outside, but it has big time power. 394 horsepower from that just classic 2.5 liter turbocharged 5-cylinder engine.
Oh, the sound.
Yeah. Even if it was as slow as a Mirage, if it had this type of sound, I would still be into it.
100%. Oh my gosh. This has got to be one of the best sounding cars that is for sale right now. I feel very confident in saying that. Of course, this is very iconic. You know, Audis have been known for their 5-cylinder engines, as well as, you know, stuff like the V10 that was in the R8. And this is, you know, obviously a derivative of that. So you have a lot of that sound baked into this, and oh my goodness, that is just absolutely intoxicating. Really, almost no other vehicle on the market sounds like that, and it is very, very good.
Now this comes with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. And of course, if anybody knows dual clutches, it's going to be the Volkswagen Group. It is a tremendous DCT, really just gets you lightning fast shifts, especially when you're using the manual shift mode as well with the paddle shifters. Just absolutely a phenomenal experience. And kind of the icing on the cake is it doesn't suck around town either.
And while we're on our way to do the launch control, which I can't wait for, I'll mention the fuel economy. It's rated at 23 miles per gallon combined. Of course, you do have to use premium fuel, but quite frankly, to be getting, you know, that type of fuel economy with this level of performance is very impressive if you ask me, especially if you're just cruising down the highway on a longer road trip. I slid the armrest back. I slid the armrest back.
This thing is unbelievably fast.
Launch control definitely feels a lot faster. It gets the car ready to go, and then the Quattro all-wheel drive just slams you back in your seat by putting that power down so well.
Yeah, so what I did was press that checkered flag I was telling you guys about on the steering wheel. That puts everything into just insane mode. It's like this car, I don't know,
just took a hit or something.
Now, of course, we need to talk about handling, because this thing is an absolute performance beast. Honestly, it is hard to believe when you're behind the wheel of this that this, you know, traces back to a front-wheel drive architecture. And a big part of that is because this has the torque splitter. So what this is able to do is actually divert significant torque to just one individual rear wheel. That helps you have this type of balance and almost a rear drive feel in certain circumstances where it can kind of push out and rotate you around a corner. It feels absolutely fantastic when you're using it. You can even drift this in certain situations if that's something you are looking to do. But, you know, like I said, you just kind of point and then it just kind of lets it almost rotate a little bit in. It feels quite cool for a front drive vehicle and really helps the performance edge. Also, this has one of the best Audi steerings that I have ever experienced. Definitely has a pretty sharp feel.
Yeah. Really good.
Yeah, it doesn't have like the most road feel, of course, but it is really agile and very responsive.
Yeah, I will also say that we have the ultra high performance tires, and I think that definitely helps your overall performance. I mean, it feels absolutely glued to the road with those tires and the Quattro all-wheel drive. All right, but we kind of toned everything down. We put it back into the normal drive mode, and we're on our designated strip of road to talk about ride quality and all of those things. Now, when it comes to the RS3, it's a dual character vehicle, and that's the good thing about it, because when you put it back in the normal modes, it does a great job of soaking bumps up. Now, of course, it certainly has a sport edge. This is not going to be an S-Class or an Audi A8 or anything like that. You will feel some intrusion if you hit big bumps in the road, but I think for the vast majority of people that would be looking to buy this, you really will be pleasantly surprised with the ride quality. It does ride like an Audi, as you might expect. And let me go ahead and get our sound level reading as well, because we're going 55 miles per hour and we can see how quiet it is. 58.3 decibels is what we are sitting at. So that's certainly a pretty decent sound level reading. I don't have to sit here and guess. I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings and see how it compares compared to its competition. That is going to be actually is one of the quieter options. This segment is not the quietest, and it's really not much louder than a regular Audi A3. So that kind of goes to show you that even though they have the sport edge on this, it still doesn't lose the luxury character of this car.
Yeah, everything just calms down a lot when you go into the comfort or automatic modes. The adaptive suspension allows the ride quality to get better, and you could totally live with this. That's really kind of the takeaway, is that you have that ultra high performance, but you can calm this down, take your kids to school, whatever you need to do, and they're going to be totally fine.
Yeah, and I will say that the exhaust, when that, turns off the active exhaust system, it really is pretty quiet. There's no droning or anything like that in here. And I will just go ahead and declare that today's slam dunk is just the level of performance that you get with this, but also the dual character nature of this vehicle, where you have the 4 doors, you have all of the practicality that a lot of families are looking for, with that still insane level of performance that you just saw.
Now for the airball, that is going to be a few little missing features. Mason's going to talk about the pricing in just a moment, but it's very expensive at this point. It's not your normal A3, that's for sure. And because of that, it kind of draws attention to missing things like, ventilated seats, a soft touch back door trim, stuff that are kind of cost-cutty for the regular A3, which costs a lot less than this.
Now, like I said at the beginning, the RS3 starts at around $66,000, which, yes, does mean it's quite a bit more than an S3 and an A3, but I think it's worth it. Now, this particular model, we have the 26, and it has almost every option on it. I believe it might actually be every option. $1,295 destination, we're sitting at $77,845, which certainly is a lot of money. It is manufactured in Germany, and if you're looking to buy an RS3 or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing dealership negotiation. There's even things like a monthly payment calculator, so you can find all of that on our website, carconfections.com. But what about resale reliability and the warranty? First up, let's talk about resale value. Audi as a brand is rated at 40.51% of estimated retained value after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 14.42%. Now, it is worth noting those are lower than industry average for all vehicle brands. However, it is very much on par with other luxury automakers like Mercedes-Benz and BMW. I also want to point out this is an RS3, so this is more rare, so those tend to have a lot higher resale value than the brand average.
Now, when it comes to reliability, we have the Combined Reliability Index. Taking into account the latest 2026 data, Audi is rated below the overall industry average against all vehicle brands.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about all of that, you can find that on our website, carconfections.com. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you have a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic and powertrain warranty. Additionally, Audi is including 3 years and 30,000 miles of complimentary maintenance, which is new to the brand. And guys, that's it for our in-depth review of the 2026 Audi RS3. If you enjoyed hearing our 7-day impressions, we'd certainly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. You won't miss the cool videos like this, and you also won't miss the videos that we do on more mainstream products as well. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.